our sister station, that is Spice FM. To be very specific, the Situation Room, where they're now having a sit-down with the Embakasi East Constituency sitting Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Babu Owino, and they're discussing the finance bill versus the high cost of living. Remember, we are also essentially keeping our eyes on the National Assembly for the second day of the tough debate on the Finance Bill 2024, how it will ensue today, and any action that might, of course, take place in the course of the day. But right now, over to the Situation Room. My name is Anki Doris Ombat. See you again in a matter of minutes.
So that is a shame. Number two, the central bank rates. In terms of borrowing, the loans, we are still there. In domestic borrowing, the commercial banks go to CBK to borrow. The rates has hit a high 13%, almost the highest in Africa. What does this mean? Two things will happen. The commercial banks will also lend to the consumers, to people on the ground, to people who want to start up their industries or to boost their businesses. What will mean is that the interest rates for borrowing will go high. The moment it goes up, it means that either that person will close the industry because they will not have an opportunity to take that loan or repay it at a higher rate. Right. Or number two, the moment that person borrows at a higher interest rate, then what will happen is that the goods that are manufactured in that industry will automatically go up. You will increase the value, which will increase the high cost of living because the burden of cost will move to the common mwananchi. So what does that tell you? That even the central bank rates that are raised, that are high, are going to raise the cost of living. So when it comes to issues of parliament and the decisions that we make in parliament, when we look at this finance bill, which is now the elephant in the room, this finance bill, the taxes that have been imposed. Yesterday I had Honorable Kimani Chungwa stating clearly, together with Kimani Kuria, that you know what? That we've only imposed taxes on imports. Right? The best way, and I saw Mexico dealing with this challenge, it is called absorption, foreign absorption. When Mexico realized that Americans were investing so much in Mexico, they decided to raise taxes for the American companies so that they boost the local companies. It worked perfectly well because they were ready. Now come back to Kenya. You raise taxes for imports, which is very good, but you are not ready because Kenya depends on 80% of imported goods. 80%.
Not imported, yes.
Okay? Then with that, in the manufacturing industry, you are not ready. In the agriculture, which is a primary sector, you are not ready. In the service industry, you are not ready. Service industry contributes 65% to the economy. Then the primary sector, which is agriculture, contributes 19%. Then you go to manufacturing, which are industries. Manufacturing, construction contributes 16%. So if we are not ready with the industries in Kenya to provide jobs and to manufacture goods, and we are not ready with our agriculture to produce enough so that the 55 million Kenyans can consume, it means that Kenyans will overutilize what is available. Then the next option available is that the demand will shift and go to the imported goods. They will find those imported goods at higher costs, right? Which will further raise the cost of living. So what he was trying to say is that, he's trying to say that we are boosting local industries. You cannot boost the local industries if it is not sufficient to provide for all. Boost them, yes, but build more industries. The moment you build more industries, people will get more jobs. You will spur up the economy. But you cannot purport to increase the imports, money for the imports, and then you want to say blanketly, as if people don't understand economics, blanketly, that, you know what, we are killing those people so that we promote local industry, where the cost of living is going to even triple. And let me, as I finish on that point, when it comes to issues of imports, money leaks to other economies. The money that we are going to make, we are going to pay it into other economies, which is called foreign absorption. That needs to be keyword. What we need to spur up is domestic absorption, where we manufacture more, we produce more. Let money circulate into the system.
So, but are you trying to tell, I mean, look, it wouldn't take a genius to understand what you're saying. And it is very clear that's just how economies, progressive, developed economy, that is how it runs. It's clear. So are you trying to tell me that there's no understanding? Because it would seem as though it's in the House of Parliament where this understanding is not taking place.
You know, there is no understanding because of the people advising the president. Because they should advise him right. And you know, you can't advise our president. In fact, our president is the one who advises his advisors on how to advise him. Okay? So what is happening in Bunge, which also has parliamentarians who are also advising the president, is that they've put a blind eye. The other day we were treated to a PR exercise in State House, right? Where all these issues were captured during public participation, where during that process people expressed their views, but they didn't want to listen. Then they take the bill, they take it to State House, they amend it in State House, instead of the bill being amended in Parliament, right? So that tells you that Parliament is deeply captured. Parliament is not independent. It is dependent on the executive, right? And then there's a strategy called decoy strategy or maneuver strategy that the state was using. The maneuver strategy states that bring all the bigger challenges that we will reject later on, bring them to Kenyans, and at the same time, bring the one that you want to pass, chini ya maji, iweke somewhere else, then tell Kenyans that, you know, bread will increase, pampers will increase, sanitary towels will increase, 2.5% tax on motor vehicles. You cause chaos all of a sudden and become so chaotic. Then you solve that same problem by saying, you know what, we've had you, we've dropped them. The problem is not that alone. The problem is the whole bill. They shall have passed theirs, and the inclusion of that is the tax imposed on the imported goods, which is going to be a bigger challenge for Kenyans. So there's a lot happening, and I just wish that the president would open his eyes, because he's at the helm of the seat, is the person who is the head of the executive and very responsible, and controls Parliament directly. And therefore, the parliamentarians who are in fear, those people, I want to tell you, they fear Ruto.
What is going to happen today if those things are happening? Because essentially, constitutionally, it is an independent body, Parliament, supposedly. But what you've told us now is that makes decisions at the behest of the president. Sings the tune, where there is the executive, which should be operating in its independency, right? There's the legislature, and then, of course, there's the judiciary. Questions of the integrity of the independence of these bodies have come up regularly. Now, by your own admission, and the admission of many over time, has been that this just does not exist. So, what hope are Kenyans supposed to have today, just today, the 20th of June, where the voting is supposed to take place, for which people went to the streets and protested, for which they want to go and protest again today and have been doing it around the country? I have to ask then, what hope then does there lie for Kenyans? If you're already telling us we can predict the outcome already.
Members of Parliament should listen to the people. Between now and 2 p.m. that we're going to start voting, those who must change their minds in support of the people that elected them. Let them not depend on their own boss. Let them depend on the people's will. And I want to tell you that as a member of Parliament, as Babu Owino, I am going to vote no. That one vote is going to go to Kenyans. I don't know what others are going to vote, but personally, I'm going to vote against the finance bill, because I know that finance bill is not only going to affect the future of Kenyans, but also the future of my own children. So that finance bill, if I vote no, I've also helped myself. So my vote is going to be with the Kenyans. I don't know what other members of Parliament, the decision they will make, that is their own decision. They will carry their own cross.
What happens after?
After, I'm planning as Babu Owino, should it go through, then personally, first of all, I will move to court, and then I also urge Kenyans to proceed with the demonstrations until Ruto listens. These demonstrations are constitutionally allowed. They are enshrined in the Constitution. Let them express their views in the streets. Because the power vests with the people. Article 1, sovereignty vests with the people. It is the people, for the people, by the people, and with the people.
What does it look like in terms of a future whereby we see that, you know, some of the things that you've described, where essentially an economy will be throttled because of, you know, extra taxes, imposing taxes, and then we want to say that other things then must run in the country? What does that outlook look like from your point of view, where legislation, representation, and oversight definitely then again lands at your doorstep? What does it look like? And I think we need to go back to that even as we look. It's not just, look, there's the whole political drama, there's all the, you know, there's all the pomp and everything that is around this whole debate and what's going to happen in Parliament, who will be missing, who will not go. But the nitty-gritty of the thing is that should it pass, there's certain things that will actually come into place. Paint a picture about what are some of those things, you know, kind of like what you did. Paint a picture. What does it actually look like for us to be able to understand that a little bit more?
You know, generally, the passage of the finance bill, as I said earlier, generally affects the economy of the state. The economy of our nation will generally turn upside down. So if I take an example of a bill that was, for example, the 2.5% on motor vehicle, that again, there must be an amendment that has to be brought to remove it because it has already been tabled.
Yes.
Yeah, so as at now, the bill is as is whole with everything. So then if you take 2.5% tax on motor vehicle, what does this mean to Kenyans? Number one, that the premiums will increase in the insurance companies. The moment premiums increases, people will opt not to go the comprehensive way because of high cost, because the disposable income is constant and the expenses have increased. So the moment you increase that, people will forgo the comprehensive insurance premiums. They will opt for the third parties. And even those third parties will also increase because of the increment in the taxation. Therefore, people will also skive it. So the moment that happens, number one, corruption will increase in Kenya because the people will want to make fake insurance. Okay, the police officers now will be very, very corrupt, and people will move around they'll move without insurance. Number two, the insurance industry will be killed. How will it be killed? Because it is a service industry that contributes 65%. Insurance, banking, education, health. The moment it contributes that, the moment the taxes are high and people are not paying premiums, which the insurance companies are depending on, it means that they will lay off workers, okay? Because they can't meet their expenses, the expenditure. So therefore, people will lose jobs. The moment people lose jobs, and people will lose jobs at the level of even a mechanic, where now people will be putting their vehicles nyumbani. They will not want these vehicles to be repaired because they don't want to use them. And the moment they are not used, they are not having issues, there are no repairs, there are no maintenance, right? A mechanic on the ground will lose that job. The person selling spare parts for these vehicles will also lose the job. So it goes down, down, down deep to the people. The moment you increase the tax on bread, it means that a bread, you know, a bread weighs 400 grams. One slice of bread is around 38 to 40 grams. That small bread, if you put 16% VAT on it, it means that it moves from 65 shillings to 75.4 shillings. Then that means that there will be low demand for this bread. What the government does not notice is that they think that if you increase tax, then you'll collect more money.
Right.
It means that the moment you increase taxes, you create less demand. Because let's say if 1 million people are not consuming bread, it means that the government will not receive that money, right? So the demand is low. The moment demand is low, supply will also be low. Then the company will notice that our bread is not being bought because they are expensive. They will close down. People will still lose jobs. So it is also another way of closing down industries instead of building more industries. So these taxes that are punitive are going to make people lose jobs. To the ground level, they are going to make people lose a lot. Look at the sanitary towels, my sister. We are not ashamed of ourselves as a country. We are now taking the dignity of our girls and our mothers and our women. 60% of people, of women in this country, cannot afford sanitary towels. You go to different counties, People are using leaves, people are using clothes, people are sitting on the soil. I got an opportunity to campaign during the presidential campaigns. People are hurting. And again, now on top of that, you are adding tax to 60% of people who cannot even afford this. And for even those who can afford, now it will even go down because the demand will be low. Even those industries, few industries that are manufacturing pads in Kenya, will lose the money that they require, therefore they will close down. People will still lose jobs. So even the dignity, look at diapers, even our children. So rais anadharau watoto, hataki kuwaona wakiishi, wanataka turudi kwa nappies. At the same time anadharau wale wa Kenya ambao wamebaki. At the same time is introducing taxation on furniture, and furniture, that is where we make our coffins, and anadharau also the dead.
How?
So
okay.
You are not liked while you are alive,
and even
you
when
are
you're
also
dead.
hated when you are dead.
Okay.
So I don't know what you want.
So this is the counter question then. How would an economy, a nation, raise the money that it needs to then be able to run the economy? How would that happen?
Perfect.
How would that happen?
There was a great recession in the United States of America in the year 1929 under the President Franklin D.
Roosevelt, yeah.
What did he do? He gave a speech and told people that the only thing to fear is fear itself. He further looked further and went back to Great Britain and got a gentleman called John Maynard Keynes, who wrote a book called The General Theory and came up with the Keynesian theory. What does the Keynesian theory states? It says that for you to spur up an economy, for you to grow an economy, put money into the pockets of the people, of the common mwananchi. The moment you put money into the pockets of common mwananchi, what will happen? That mwananchi will go to a shopkeeper. I want to break it down so that Kenyans can easily understand it. That mwananchi will go to a shopkeeper and buy flour, buy unga or sugar. If many of mwananchis go and buy sugar or unga, that shopkeeper will see that the demand is high, right?
Right.
The moment the demand is high, the shopkeeper will employ more people to help him sell,
to increase,
right?
Yes.
At the same time, we'll communicate to the industry that the demand is high, I need more supplies, right? So when the demand is going high, the supply will go up also. Now, at the industry, they will manufacture more, right? Because the demand is high on the ground. As they manufacture more, right? As they manufacture more, they will employ more people to help them in the manufacturing. That is creating more jobs. At the same time, at the industry, they will communicate to the farmer and say, we want more raw materials. Even the farmer on the ground will employ more people and produce more.
And so that's
right?
how it is spread.
Now,
yeah.
It is as easy as that.
This
Just
is what is taught. It's taught to students of economics in university, those who study relations of nations and things like this.
Perfect.
So my question is, this happens also at Treasury that sits here. It happens. They're advisors. They're experts. They do this. And where's the demand for even that information to come through? Why would it, for something that seems so obvious, right, not come from the experts that design such bills, right? And we wait, or rather go the taxation way as opposed to the spurring of the economy way. And why are these questions not asked? Because it seems like it's something that is so obvious.
Because Kenya is captured.
Oh,
Kenya
come
is
on.
captured by
Is that the
West.
reason that we continue to give and say there's capturing from the West, Babu, there's capturing in Parliament, everybody's captured. So what?
Leave even Parliament out of this when that decision is being made. It is bigger than Parliament. This boils down to what I will not go deep into, to IMF and World Bank. Okay? It boils down to IMF and World Bank. Their policies made the ex-president, the former president Daniel Moi, be very unpopular. The same policies are being implemented by President Ruto. And if I go deeper into it, I shall be stepping on so many toes. And that is why we cannot want to spur up the economic growth, because Kenya must not grow. The simplest way to grow Kenya.
What reason would a president have to sabotage, or anybody to sabotage his own economy at the behest of international institutions?
To please the international institutions.
To the disadvantage of millions of Kenyans for the maintenance of power.
We know what happens in elections in Kenya, and we know the promises that are given. We know during any presidential election what happens. You must be a stooge for you to sit there, and you must sing their tune. I just don't want to go deep into it, but I know so much about it. And therefore, let me ask you a question. If you are a reasoning president, which I know Ruto is reasoning, why don't you, the loans that you take, build industries, promote agriculture, promote the service industry, bring development, build roads, build more infrastructure?
These are questions that you are supposed to be putting to them, is it not?
I'm putting the questions to him. The moment you do that, the moment you build industries, let's say that there are 2 industries in every county in this country. What will happen? More Kenyans will get jobs. More Kenyans will earn. Kenyans will pay taxes. Government will raise revenue. As simple as that. As simple as that.
Mheshimiwa,
Yes.
there are African countries where presidents or countries have actually resisted this push from these international lenders, Egypt being one such country. Within this particular country, Kibaki encountered similar push. He did not succumb. He went east. He took us there.
Yes.
I'm simply saying that everything you said is absolutely true, and it's not difficult to understand. Even the power that you speak of, that politicians and people who aspire to be political leaders seek, it's easy to understand. But let me ask you a political question, all right? You are in the opposition.
Yes.
Yeah? We now have a situation where we have young people who, from our reading of it, have mobilized themselves. They have not engaged the political leaders. In fact, if I'm to go by the clips that I heard, they're simply saying, look, we now understand what you guys were doing, but we want
we can handle this.
Yes. Well, so they say and so they think, okay? And it is good that they're thinking that way, and it's good that they're saying it. My question is, are they raining on the opposition's parade, or are they following a script that the opposition has written, or does the opposition have a hand in what is happening?
What I can say is that this is a collective responsibility. We are all Kenyans. If you see something is not working and you can fix it, come out and fix it. That is what I believe. If you see that your leaders are failing you and you can do it better than that leader, come out and do it. And that is what they came out and did it, because they've noticed that, these leaders are making us more hopeless. They are not delivering what they promised. They are not helping us. Therefore, let us go on the streets and let us get that which we want. And for me, that is a plus, because it is a collective responsibility. Babu alone cannot do it, we have to come back. We have to all unite. When we were fighting for independence of this country, people had to unite to fight against the colonial powers. So we must come together. So for me, what I would answer is that it is a collective responsibility. If you see something is messing up, correct it. And they are doing it. And with the like-minded leaders, like myself, we will join them. We are with them. We are part of them. Because they are our brothers and our sisters. And we know what they are going through.
How will